Hey, what if I can't get that card? Do I still have a place in this world? Can I get started on the points and miles journey? Or is this mission impossible? That's not the case. I think all of us start from somewhere.
When I first swipe the card to purchase an iPhone, next statement credit, I get to see the cashback 8,000. And this is like, is this even possible? Like, they hardly gave like a rupee discount in the store and the bank is giving me 8,000 cash. So that is when credit card started.
I was bored and then this guy comes and says, sir, credit card le lo. I'm like, no, I want. Sir, it's free and you'll get discount also. I'm like, you get discount? How? No, you just pay by this card. You get discount in Shopper Stop. Are you sure it's free? Yeah, it's free. Give it. That's when my interest in credit cards really got started.
Yeah, first card which I got was at least 6x of my initial salary. So then gradually once they offered me credit limit increase.
Yeah.
So that was 12x. Like
yeah.
I was like, oh, this is really good. Like if I want to make a big purchase, I don't even have to like give it a thought if I'm stable, financially stable.
Once your salary grows, आपको credit card भी better. Like banks will come behind you to give you the card that you want. They structured the program in such a way that whatever applies to Infinia in a smaller way, it also applies to Regalia Gold. ठीक है, आपको कम ratio मिल रहा है, but ऐसा नहीं है कि आप ये use ही नहीं कर सकते.
If you are in Bangalore or in our part of the world, one is like you rightly said, JW Marriott Prestige Golf Shire. It's a beautiful 18-hole golf property with 3 swimming pools, 4 restaurants, each of them outstanding.
One underrated also redemption that I have in mind probably for a newbie is probably a budget hotel in let's say Rajasthan.
Yeah.
Like I've done that.
Yeah.
I loved going to Rajasthan and Udaipur and in winters. So if you can just book the flight with your points, you've slashed your budget of your entire trip by 30-35%.
The insight that I'm getting is from you. You're saying get your first win quickly.
Absolutely.
Get one night at a hotel, one free flight, whatever you can get that first win. Once you get that first win, you will figure out how to make the second win happen because you're already eyeing the second one.
Flashing bright, we're on the go. Tune in now, there's so much to know. Earning bits, travel dreams we sow. All aboard the great Indian Points and Miles show. Zero to hero in the blink of an eye. Fly first class, no need to be shy. Redemption sweet, touching the sky. Award seats booked, let's give it a try. Award seats booked, let the points flow. It's all aboard the great Indian Points and Miles show. Unlocking journeys wherever you go. The sky's the limit, feel the travel mojo.
Hello and welcome to another fun episode of the Great Indian Points and Miles Show. We're here today to talk about something that a lot of you have been asking us. There has been a lot of chatter that we talk a lot about super premium cards. There's a lot of talk about Axis Bank Magnus Burgundy. There's HDFC Infinia Metal. There is the new ICICI Emerald Private Metal. The moment you add metal, it becomes a super premium card, right? And there are a lot of us who are saying, hey, what if I can't get that card? Do I still have a place in this world? Can I get started on the points and miles journey? Or is this mission impossible where, only the guys who have these fancy cards will have all the fun? That's not the case. I think all of us start from somewhere and the important thing is to start. So today, very, very excited to bring this special episode to you, where we will discuss how do you get started on your points and miles journey with something that's relevant to you, something that's affordable to you in your card bracket, and something that you will enjoy on a every now and then basis. With that, we've got my co-founders, Dhimant and Ameya, like always on the show. And this time, we have a very special guest. We've got someone. So we put out this very interesting tweet just before recording the episode. We said that, hey, we're looking for people who've tuned into our episode. And if one of you have tuned in and you'd like to join us on the show, send us a DM. We'll take a look at your DM and we'd love to invite you. This tweet went out maybe about 12 hours before the recording. And instantly, we had a barrage of responses. One of those was a gentleman called Eshwar. And we called Eshwar and said, hey, Eshwar, what's your story? Luckily, what had happened was Eshwar and Dhimant had interacted earlier. And we'll hear more about that story from Eshwar. But Eshwar is a derivatives trader. He's an entrepreneur. He's based in Bangalore. And he's lived the good life, more importantly. He has a few very cool cards. But then, like all of us, he didn't have the most premium card to start with. He started with a very normal card and then worked his way up to super premium cards. So we'd love to hear from his journey today. And then similarly, we'll chat about which are those cool cards that you can start with and work your way on top. So with that, welcome everyone. Welcome Eshwar.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting me here. So, first of all, I would like to thank you guys for inviting me, and it's such a privilege to be with you guys. And I've been a fan of your show from the beginning, so I'm really happy to share my journey, and I look forward to.
So thanks for coming, man. We appreciate it. I mean, we gave you a call just a few hours before the show and said, Eshwar, aa and you showed up. So again, we are happy that you found the show useful, one. And two, that you've really come onto the show. But let's start with you, Eshwar. What's your story? Do you remember which was your first credit card? Do you remember why you got it? Do you remember your first transaction?
Right, yes. So, this was 10 years back when I joined my earlier company. So, right then, there was an offer going on for iPhones. So, everyone could see those posters there, like get an Apple product and get cashback. So, that cashback was associated with HDFC Bank. So, I just jumped into the wagon, and once the salary account was open, I was like, they offered me a lifetime free credit card. And that was HDFC. It was matching my spending pattern. So, I just went into it. And that's when I started my credit card journey. When I first swiped the card to purchase an iPhone, next statement credit, I get to see the cashback 8,000. And this is like, is this even possible? Like, they hardly gave like a rupee discount in the store, and the bank is giving me 8,000 cash. So that is when credit cards started.
What was this credit card? Do you remember the name?
Yes, it was HDFC Privilege. So that was the card which had.
HDFC Diners Privilege? Diners Privilege.
It was a Diners Network card.
Yeah.
It was called HDFC Diners Privilege card. Yeah.
And that worked at the Apple store.
Yes.
Did you buy this online? Did you go into a store and buy?
So there was a UBCT store back then.
Yeah.
So
there still is one.
Yeah. So, So I went and pre-booked my phone, and the entire amount was paid through card. So.
The happiest person when you listen to this episode will be this bank people who actually tie up with these vendors, right? The only thing that the pitch is always to these banks is that 10% discount dete hi, people will buy this card. So interestingly, the data point says that most people start taking credit cards or taking their first credit card because of cashback offers. And that's the reason why India has become that, ground for 10%, and 10% is that holy number, right? Ki 10% mil raha hai to, and very few of them have no terms and conditions. Like you said, 10%, 8,000 seems like a big amount. Abhi to thoda sa 2,000, 1,500 ho jata hai. That's one very interesting thing you said, right? Most people start the journey that way, Aadil. Yeah. Right? And the second thing which struck me about what you said, Eshwar, was the whole point around, your journey starting from that LTF card, right? So I remember during that times that LTF was a big thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's almost like a saying, okay.
Even today, LTF is a big thing. Like, people queue up for an LTF.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, Ameya, which was your first credit card? Do you remember? And why did you get it specifically?
My first credit card was a ICICI Coral. I got it, from the bank with the account. It was just like, hey, we have a free card for you.
Yeah.
I took it. And I think my first probably useful card was the Diners Black. And yeah, Diners Black back in the day was like really insane, and it just changed the way you think about these. And then you slowly then evolved from, at that point of time, you didn't need to get into air miles because Diners Black was so good. But I think my first miles card was probably the Vistara Infinite itself, like long ago. Yeah. And that sort of worked out because, I think these kind of cards are also a very easy start into the miles game, saying that, okay, you just need to focus on one kind of currency. It is your Vistara points and it is your Vistara tickets.
I think it was also one of those category creation kind of cards, no? The Vistara one. Because back in the day, if you think about, no other airline other than Jet had a miles program. And Vistara wanted to get people used to booking tickets via potentially miles.
Right.
And then they had a partnership with Axis and eventually the others, which is why it was so rewarding. It is insanely rewarding for domestic travel.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, the Jet cards were pretty nice too, but then that
But
was before I
nothing
could.
topped it like Vistara.
Oh yeah. The Vistara ones. I think in that sense, I think the Indigo co-branded, at least the earlier ones were like so. But yeah, the Vistara really changed the game. The Air India card did exist as well, but then at that point of time when Air India and Indian Airlines were separated and whatnot, we barely had any domestic flights in Air India.
Dude,
so it
but
was not.
I didn't want to reveal it on Twitter that day. Like I was discussing with somebody कि मेरा age मालूम पड़ जाएगा. But my first card was the Kingfisher Amex card. Like Kingfisher was the OG of the miles game, honestly. Like and Kingfisher had this very unique seating arrangement in their flights, and they had this red color. So red is always been my favorite color, right? So like I was very attracted by the Kingfisher program in general. Like the grandeur of it all, right? I mean, Kingfisher had the grandeur of that. UAE kind of airlines and the Middle East Airlines ka vibe tha. So like amazing. Some of this Jet ka unique part which you said was the debit card partnerships. They had a co-branded debit card as well, which I think Vistara hasn't done, right?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Jet was like really good. I mean, that was one airline that really knew how to make customers feel special. And now I think I'm seeing elements of that coming into Air India gradually. And now if you're like a gold member and you travel even domestically on Air India, you will see that the crew will come to your seat and personally greet you by name and talk to you and address you. And they'll thank you for flying Air India because you're a gold customer. I'd never seen this earlier. Very recently, in the last 1 month, this has happened to me 4 times. And on all the 4 flights. So I'm seeing this change. Jet did this magically every single time without fail.
I feel very left out.
Slowly,
मेरे साथ
I think Air
but
India
I feel very left out यार. मेरे साथ कभी नहीं होता है. Like कोई भी status हो मेरे साथ कभी नहीं होता है. Diamond, platinum.
आप कब fly कर रहे हो? ये बताओ.
I'm just joking. But do you guys remember? Has anybody traveled in the Jet Airways time when they used to give a pillow? And like those were like golden times. Like when you full flight airlines, you used to get those pillows that they would in domestic airlines. आज तो विस्तारा वगैरह इतना नहीं देती है. You have to ask them, and they used to. But there were the times where Indian used to carry forks and pillows home in their bags. I've seen that, like those times.
I have not. Like, I've
seen
never
those
asked for
times.
one. I don't know. But I often ask for blankets, and both Jet and Vistara and now Air India are like very accommodating. So because oftentimes in flights the AC is so chill that you kind of tend to get very, very cold. But anyways, coming back, yours was the Kingfisher card.
No, that was not my first card. So
Which was your first card?
my first card was my father's credit card. So I don't remember, man. I think it was a Standard Chartered card. I don't remember the name of the card, honestly.
Dad had a
Like,
fancy card.
yeah, he had a fancy card. And one thing which I remember very well is my first card. And I think it's true for most people. The first card comes from when you go to office for the first time and some bank has tied up with your company for issuing cards, right? So they will always say some special offer for you. And I think my first card, if I remember well, was the ABN AMRO. That is where I think my first job gave me that card. And then I left the job and went to do my MBA. So ABN AMRO was my first card. It then got converted to a RBS card.
Like father, like son. Fancy card to start with.
And ABN got converted to RBS and then it shut down. I think the whole company got shut down. So yeah, that was my first card. And my first transaction, by the way, if I remember well, was doing a transaction on grocery to in a local. तभी वो modern retail का fancy काम चालू हुआ था, right? Some neighborhood store like More or Aditya Birla कोई तो I don't remember which one it is.
I was just thinking about which was my credit card, first credit card. And fascinatingly enough, it just hit me that my first credit card was a co-branded credit card by Shoppers Stop.
Oh, the City one. City
I
Shoppers.
don't even remember the bank name.
Citibank. 100%.
So it was Shoppers Stop. And I remember I had gone with my wife. She was shopping something. I was bored. And then this guy comes and says, "Sir, credit card le lo." I'm like, no, I want. "Sir, it's free and you'll get discount also." I'm like, "You'll get discount? How?" "No, you just pay by this card. You get discount in Shoppers Stop." Are you sure it's free? Yeah, it's free. Give it.
आजकल ट्विटर पे डिबेट चल रहा है ना ओजी कार्ड्स कौन सा है लाइक शॉपिंग का ओजी कार्ड
Shopper stop.
No,
The gold
I
or the
didn't
black
know.
card, right?
And I wasn't looking for a credit card. I had no idea. I was bored in a Shopper Stop store, and this guy approached me, and then I was like, "मतलब card is free, and तुम मेरे को discount भी दोगे, and you will give me $1,000 welcome credit also. ये card तो मेरे को चाहिए." So it was like I'd never heard anything like that, and I thought he was pulling a fast one on me, right? So I had to like double check and all of that. And then the guy, he took a couple of signatures, card came and it delivered. That's when my interest in credit cards really got started.
And you would get upgraded to a certain level of the Shopper Stop membership, and that would give you 2 parkings free in the mall that Shopper Stop existed.
That I don't
I remember very well because I had that card.
So anyways, so that's that. So let's now come to how your journey has evolved from where you were, Eshwar. So you got the Diners Privilege. You used it. The first aha moment in life was 8,000 back on iPhone 6 or iPhone 6s that you got. Right? That's a lot of money. From there, what was the next aha moment? When did that come? And from then, did you start putting all your spends on credit card? Were you putting only certain big purchases on your card? How did your behavior change?
Right. So most of the big purchases I used to optimize my credit cards. One thing people also notice about credit cards is the interest-free period. Say for example, if you plan to make a big purchase, plan it after the statement is generated.
Yeah, you get 45 days.
You get 45 days. So say for example, I wanted to buy a big TV for my house. So I waited for the statement generation. Next day, so I have 45 to 50 days interest-free period. Plus I get extra discount. Earlier, Flipkart used to give flat 5,000 off, flat 7,500 off direct, like
For EMI transactions.
like direct.
Achha,
Yeah,
direct, okay.
direct. Like on a big purchase, like 50,000 or 75,000 or above. So that got me interested. That's like flat 10% savings, not even cashback. Cashback at least I used to get after the
instant
statement is
discount.
being generated. So this got me into it, and then I started researching about HDFC cards on their website. Then I got to know there's a reward multiplier program. Oh, this is crazy. Like cashback is just a starting step. So then I slowly started using my card, then built my credit score. Then once the credit score was built, like I got offers saying you're eligible for upgrades. So that's when I started using those upgrades, and gradually once my CTC
How
also.
much time did it take for you to move from Privilege to the next card, and which one was it?
There was a burgundy color card. I think it was ClubMiles.
Yeah, correct. So Diners ka next level, club. Yeah.
That was more into miles. So that gave me around 1 to 1. Like that was 7 years back. So I don't remember exactly which. What's the ratio in it. But then after ClubMiles, I got into Diners Black very quickly. So that gave me a lot of like strength in miles and points.
So let's pause there for a bit, because you said something very interesting. I think this is important for our viewers to note. You said that you started with the Diners Privilege. You spent some time with it. You made significant purchases with it. And then you said you built your credit history. I think this is an important thing,
Very
because
important, yes.
what people have to understand is when you start off with your first credit cards, the banks don't give you a generous limit. They give you a very small limit. And then you have to spend and you have to pay them off in time on a regular basis, and slowly they increase your limit. And that establishes creditworthiness, that builds a good credit score. And once you have that score, that is when you get eligible for better cards. So, did you spend a couple of years on Privilege before getting into ClubMiles? Do you remember at all? What was like the limit increase in the card? Do you remember?
Yeah, first card which I got was at least 6x of my initial salary.
Okay.
So then gradually once they offered me credit limit increase.
Yeah.
So that was 12x. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is really good. Like if I want to make a big purchase, I don't even have to like give it a thought if I'm stable, financially stable. So that was the first thing. Second thing is the bank reps call me. So they're like, you're eligible for upgrade since you have good credit score and spending patterns. So that's when I got to know there's a lot of permutations and combinations happening in the backside of the bank, where they actually see their spending patterns, the payment time taken and all. So that's how it went. And after 2 years, I upgraded my card around 2 to 2.5. Then slowly I wanted to get upgrades by myself asking, not from them. So that's when it all started, and now holding an Infinia. So
Awesome. Now you have the king of all cards, which is cool.
But Aadil, one thing you mentioned very beautifully about is the whole credit building piece. In the US and in India also, it's also about knowing how to build your credit score or start building credit score. So there are also credit card builder cards, credit score building cards. Okay, so if you have a account in ICICI was I think the pioneer in this. Even when in 2004, 2005, because at that time there was not a very strong CIBIL program, right? So it was not very easy for banks to take the risk of whom to give cards to. So typically they would reject cards for people who don't have any salary, right? Or even if they're salaried, they would wait till the time that they felt, okay, it's not risky enough to give a card to this guy. So if you have a bank account with ICICI, they would give you a credit card based on the FD that you have with them or the balance that you have with them. So if you put a 1 year FD of let's say 3 lakh rupees or 1 lakh rupee, they would issue you a card. Now why get that card? Not to get any offers. Just so that you take credit, you pay back your bill, your credit history starts building. That is when you become eligible for the first card. So a lot of you guys, if you guys are seeing this show and if you don't even know whether you're eligible for a card or if you don't have any credit score at all, is even a further step to it.
No, I think there's a hack for that as well. Like for example, a lot of us who don't have a credit card, we have good debit cards, we have bank accounts,
absolutely.
That is fine.
Yeah.
But we've never had a credit card. So let's say if I go and apply for a top credit card today, it's going to get declined, right? Simply because there's no credit score. So then how do you get your first credit card? That itself is tricky. And we face this problem for my wife because she isn't working somewhere. And then how do we get one? So we applied and we were getting rejected. One of the things we noticed was her bank, which was ICICI, said, hey, get a free credit card. It showed up on the mobile app. One tap and it said yes and the card came home. Once that came in, she spent some money on it for about 3 to 4 months. And then we applied for Amex and Amex got accepted. Otherwise, before that, applied multiple times, it got rejected. So like you said, the first thing is get your first credit card. That's like the baby step. And it does not matter which card it is. Just take a free credit card. Just spend some money on it. Build some credit history. That gives you a certain credit score and your credit profile. Once you have that, I think then you can apply for your next level credit.
But Aadil, I have a thought around this, right? So Eshwar mentioned that he stumbled upon the Diners Privilege card, right? HDFC card. Now, you may have seen Twitter, you may have seen some of these things and you may have felt कि okay, मुझे तो सबसे बड़ा card चाहिए or whatever the best card possible. And let's say you're not getting it. One thing you can do even as a basic starter when you're getting the first card or the second card or the third card, see if you can invest in a program which has ladders, right? So that is one check you can definitely do. For example, Diners, it was always known that there is a ladder. So if you get one card, you would get the second card, then you would get the Diners Black, and then you would eventually, if you wanted, you could get the Infinia, right? Similarly, Regalia mein the other card was the Regalia. So you would get the Regalia and then you would get the Diners Black. So there are paths, right? So invest in a program where you know there are these paths, right? So for example, Axis mein ye path nahi hai. Right? There is no clearly defined, identified paths.
Well, if you hold a salary account, then you can potentially...
No, paths there is no they don't
upgrade.
pattern it like that.
Yeah.
वहाँ पे HDFC में you will see this auto upgrades automatically coming to your in that fashion. So see if you can build that, and especially if that program has miles partners, then you know, for example, कि okay, Diners में 0.5 का conversion ratio है. That smartness you can bring on the table because you're watching our content and you're seeing a lot of this stuff. Okay, you can't get the Infinia, but you can at least start off with the Regalia Gold, right? Or even a lower one which allows that, right? So, or at least invest in a program that has some miles conversion ratio. Don't invest in only probably a cashback card. Like, could be one of the ideas that people can follow if they are passionate for travel and if they don't want to start off only with cashback.
The other thing you can also do in order to start building credit is get a secured card. So essentially the idea is you have a fixed deposit and against that you get a card. Like I think especially folks who are like say in college and to start building investment habits, I think this can be
That's what I'm saying, no?
through. So I think IDFC has a really nice secured card program. It's a free card but contingent on the FD. They have decent FD rates for that, for what it's worth. and start with that, and then that helps build the credit score. Not just build credit score, even repair credit score. Like I know an anecdote that a friend of mine went to the US and missed out on some 200 rupees bill payment, and then he came back 5-6 years later and whatever, lost track of this, and turns out that this interest had been building up and whatnot.
Ouch.
Now, sure, you pay back the money, but then your credit score is damaged. And so then you'll have to do these kind of things to slowly rebuild, get a secured card, consistently pay on time, and then upgrade your way up to something better.
That's exactly what I was saying. No, so US made a big thing. So in India also, like ICICI started this long back. They had a credit builder program. So I'm saying कि students को भी मिल सकता है card, right? So you can be ahead of the curve if you want to, right? So.
Yeah, as Ameya said, I recommended my cousin the IDFC WOW Card. He was traveling abroad for a month. So he had booked an FD, he opened an account, booked an FD, and he got the card instantly. So 0 forex fee card for a basic FD credit card. And he earned one rupee for 150 rupees spent as well. So that's almost close to what the kings of credit cards have. Like they charge convenience fee plus the 3.3% rewards.
Right.
So IDFC WOW Card is really good for someone who is beginning
Interesting.
for a forex card.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it's a good offering, and I think especially for students and all, they do issue it.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about Ameya. If you were a beginner today and you're new to the points and miles game, you can't access super premium cards. Let me define super premium. So obviously the Infinia, Magnus Burgundy, Emerald, Private Metal, even the Atlas for that matter. Let's say these are all out of reach. You cannot reach it. Diners Black out of reach, right? But you want to get started in the miles journey. What would be the first couple of steps that you will take? Curious to know, will you apply for 1 card, 2 cards? And then what's your plan for the next one?
Sure. So I think to begin with, I think the whole miles game can be overwhelming. There's no two ways about it. There's a lot of context. There's a lot of combinations. You've got to keep track of information. The upsides are definitely there. But for someone just entering in, it can be very overwhelming, number one. Number two, it's also a game of patience. You cannot expect that, you get a card and you're going to get instantly, within like a 2-3 months, you're going to be able to make good use of it. So the two things, I think the two meta or philosophical points to keep in mind is, number one, it is daunting. Number two, it is a game of patience. So in this regard, I think my recommendation will be that I think one easy path to get towards this is to use a co-branded card. Right? So co-branded cards, why? Because number one, the cognitive load is less. You just have a single card and you spend on it. There's a few you can get, right? So I think a number of them have got multi-tier, like say, for example, maybe you want to plan for like a Singapore trip. Pick up the SBI KrisFlyer cards. You've got a low-end one and a high-end one, whichever you're able to get, you can start with it. I think they're both decent to start. Or IndusInd has the new Qatar one. Sure, it has a big joining fees. You get an initial this thing with it. But I think what it helps with respect to the miles game itself is like it gives you a start. You can focus your spends on that. You do not need to worry about saying that, okay, these are all the partners, these are the ratios, what can I mix, match, nothing. Start with it and build your way towards that one big redemption and enjoy that. I think that is important. The second thing, I think Dhimant alluded to that, is that it's okay to have a card which is not a miles card in a bank that has got potential upgrades to a miles card later on. So it's also okay to pick up a card which does not have miles offering in something like an Axis or an HDFC. But eventually, as you spend more time, as you build your score, as you build your reputation with the bank itself, you will get upgraded. And once you do get,
Can you name a few cards for the benefits of our listeners so that they can get started with?
Sure. So HDFC, you can pick up the Diners Privilege, the one that you talked of, is I think a great starting point. ClubMiles, Diners Privilege are both great. Regalia side also, the cards are like decent. I think those one can definitely pick up. And then there are the non-miles cards as well. You can start with one of them. And then eventually pick up a core card.
Which would be the non-miles cards?
So Millennia is probably, I think HDFC has some notion of core cards and non-core cards. Millennia, I think, is a decent start. It's whatever, 5% cashback on a bunch of online spends and things.
That's a debit card, no, Millennia?
No, it's a credit card.
Oh, it's a credit card also.
There's also a debit card. There's a Millennia credit card also. And essentially, with HDFC, the idea is this, that co-branded cards you typically can't upgrade. But core cards you are able to upgrade easily. Maybe it's not as hard and fast, but this is my understanding with respect to how the hierarchy works. So you can get a Millennia, and then you can upgrade your Millennia up to one of the Diners ones or a Regalia side, and then work your way up towards Diners, Infinia, and whatnot. So I think with HDFC, that's how your path goes. Axis, I'd say just pick any of them. You've got even non-miles cards which have got decent offerings otherwise. You'll get good offers on bill payments, you'll get good offers on Swiggy and whatnot.
Give a couple of names.
You can even pick up something like a MyZone or a Privilege or something. Those are nice cards. Select is a great card from Axis. Start with it and then work your way up towards, Atlas and Magnus and all.
So when you say work your way up, just double clicking there, Ameya, what do you think is like a realistic and reasonable wait experience? Like, for example, let's say somebody applies and gets a privilege or a select from Axis. So you get it today. Then what is a realistic expectation? Saying that should one wait for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, use this card till they get to an upgrade level?
I think 8-9 months is what you might want to keep as median. Sometimes you can get upgrade offers a little earlier, but I think that is the time frame that I'll keep in mind.
Got it.
But थोड़ा सा डिसएग्री करता हूँ, like I disagree a little because Axis का जो प्रोग्राम है और Axis hierarchy is not very structured, right? So what I mean by that is if you have a MyZone, right, there is no criteria which tells you कि आपको 8 महीने में email आएगा या you will get an in-app upgrade. It's quite random. HDFC on the other hand is slightly more structured, right? So let's talk about one hierarchy. He spoke about one hierarchy, I'll talk about the other one. Earlier there was the Regalia, and then you would get upgraded from there. The journey would start, right? They had a gap in between. So then they got the Regalia Gold, right? So now what they do is, if you look at their habit of issuing cards, people who don't have either the very first job or they don't have a job or retired people, they would start with the Regalia, right? And then they would offer a Regalia Gold as an upgrade once you spend a certain amount, or if you grow up in a salary ladder. And then the Regalia Gold would then get upgraded to a Diners Black or an Infinia at certain times. Now, what I feel is that if I was at the stage where you are saying right now, I would start with the Regalia. And I'll tell you why I started the Regalia, right? So the reason I started the Regalia is that you want to start experiencing free travel or discount on travel. The best thing about Regalia is that whatever points you let's forget the ratio, yaar. 50 paise ka ratio hai, 25 paise ka ratio hai, whatever spend I have done, whatever I got out of it, I go to SmartBuy, I get a revenue price, I turn the slider. So for people who don't understand turn the slider, there is a SmartBuy website. You go, you log in with your card details. Let's say you have 1000 points. Let's say Bombay to Bangalore ka flight is 5000 rupees. You turn the slider from 0 to 1000 rupees. You instantly get that 1000 rupee discount on your 5000 rupees flight, right? Is that a greatest redemption? No. Is this a great start? It is a great start. I'll tell you, those moments when I book these flights is when I realized कि यार credit cards पे पैसा spend करना है. अगर मैं spend करने ही वाला हूँ तो let me get these points and let me get these discounts, right? So for me, I think that's how. Then you go to the Regalia Gold, where suddenly you start getting options saying, okay, let me not turn the slider. Let me turn this points into 50 paise into a core. Right? That is where you start getting that kick. So my suggestion would be to still look at a partner or a bank which lets you redeem some discount for travel. Forget the ratio. Right? So for example, I would not be very keen on going to a bank जिसके पास ऐसा कोई program ही नहीं है. Right? मतलब ठीक है, मतलब if you have no option and if you have to take it, take it. But see, you're reading so much on Twitter about so many options available today. We didn't have so much liberty when we started our journey. Go and explore now. Why don't you try those cards which are giving you that option of traveling free? So that would be my recommendation to anybody starting. Hear out some of these podcasts, some of this Twitter, follow some of these people who are insanely done this in their past, right? And see if you can start your journey even with something that lets you get free travel. And then your family will come out and say, यार कहाँ discount मिला ये मुझे भी करना है. Like I think that's my suggestion at least.
I think it's a good one. There's no right approach. Let's just call that out, right? I mean, if your comfort is with a particular bank, like Ameya said, Axis Bank, go for it. If you are a more tangible thinker, right, where you get fascinated with saying that, I saved 1,000 rupees on 5,000 and that's a 20% discount. And if that gives you a kick, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there will never be a right answer. There are, that's why somebody bowls spin and somebody bowls fast and somebody bowls medium, right? There is no
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong
But
answer.
I like the other idea that Ameya mentioned about co-branded cards. Now I go and look back, I realized कि हाँ मैंने भी थोड़े से co-branded cards लिए थे मेरे journey में. And they are specific purposes, right?
Like Jet Airways का
Yeah.
next level था.
Correct.
Amex partnership के साथ. That was a crazy good
Yeah,
card.
and even if you forget the high-end cards, the debit card that we spoke about in one of our earlier episodes, anybody can get a debit card. Jet Airways का, and you would get 500 miles of Jet Airways by just getting that card, right? So उसका आज का new version is probably the Swiggy One cards or whatever, like those cards, right? मतलब Amazon Pay cards, Flipkart cards, like there are crazy amount of cards that you can actually look at.
But interestingly, you just reminded me of something. So, in investing, we talk about ROI, return on investment as a metric, right? Everybody talks about it. Here we have to start now talking about ROS, return on spends, because that is what we are trying to do, right? I mean, if you're spending X lakh rupees in a year, did you get something out of it? And today with, some super premium cards, you're able to get some really, really FD beating returns, right? That only happens for high spenders though. But it's true. And a lot of us have been benefiting from that.
And it's tax free.
Sorry?
And it's tax free.
Smiles can't be taxed.
Don't give ideas. Don't give ideas.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Because we
But
have
Eshwar, we've heard Dhimant and Ameya sticks.
Right.
If you were to start out today, what cards would you go to? What would be your strategy? And how would you work your way up?
So first thing is like I want to if one gets to know what they're spending on, that would be the first criteria. And second is what will you do with those points or what will you do with those discounts? Like discounts is like flat anytime, but points like would you like to travel? Would you like to redeem? So these are the two things which people have to know when they start off. If they love to travel, then there are a lot of cards. If they want to redeem for vouchers, if they want to redeem for anything, any experiences, so those are again a different category of people. So first you have to filter out that way and then we can start off. First thing is I would like to get an entry level card if I would want anyone to get one. And second thing is don't look for lifetime free cards. Like this is one thing which everyone comes and asks, like which lifetime free card is the best. So the actual value what you derive out of paid cards is much higher than lifetime free cards. So this is what I have understood from recent times. Once you get those lifetime free cards, paid cards, you can always ask them for a lifetime free card. If the bank accepts, okay, otherwise you continue paying those annual fee and joining fees. First card would be HDFC Marriott Bonvoy.
Brilliant recommendation, right?
Yeah. HDFC Marriott Bonvoy if one loves to travel. For 3,000 plus taxes,
Yeah.
like you can get a one night free stay in
Yeah.
most of the Marriott properties. Plus, if you spend using those cards, you can accumulate points until 30,000 points plus the 15,000 free night award. It's a no-brainer. For 3,000, for any of your special days like a birthday or anniversary, you can just go for it. Second is, I would recommend HDFC Swiggy Card. That's 10% cashback, no-brainer card. So if someone is spending 15,000 a month, which is medium to high spends for groceries, so one person can extract 15,000 cashback in a year. More than 15,000.
18,000.
18,000 and 42,000 in total with travel spends with 1% other spends as well, 1% cashback on other spends. So 42,000 cashback you're getting per year for spending on normal things. You can definitely use those cashbacks for booking flights and hotels.
And in general, I've seen that, I don't know if there is some thought around it, but generally it's easier to get co-branded cards relatively. The banks will generally protect their core cards much more closer to the heart, right? So, because there is two parties trying to sell a card, right? So, great idea. I mean, the Bonvoy card recommendation is amazing.
Yeah. And the 10% in percentage wise is very big. Like if you see in terms of direct cashback, there's no hassle of converting to points or miles as well. You get direct credit. So that is one thing which I would recommend the starters. And from there you can start building your miles and points journey.
So let's say, people who are watching our channel, go ahead and get the HDFC Marriott Bonvoy credit card. Once they get that credit card, let's say with 1 year of spending on that card, what's a realistic redemption story? What can you do with that card? Also, if you have other examples of cards, that one can use to start off with. What can give us realistic redemption stories of what people can do domestically and internationally?
First with Marriott Bonvoy card, HDFC. I mean, it gives you straight away free night award. So up to 15,000 points redemption. So a lot of properties in India where you can redeem those. Say for example in Bangalore there's Fairfield, there's Moxie, where you can directly redeem without paying an extra single rupee or a point. So that's a great idea to start off. And once you start spending on that card, say you spend 3 to 6 lakhs a year, accumulate not just one shot, like monthly if you spend 50,000 or it comes up to 6 lakh, you get one more free award. So that way you can actually plan for an international trip where you can stay for free 2 free nights and utilize those free night awards plus the points whatever you got.
The milestone के लिए the card is not a great card. I think it's a great card for the basic
The free night award.
free night and the spends that you do, the 2% spend that you get for a basic card. 2% is a decent.
By the way, it also has a multiplier for travel and dining spend. So, that becomes like 2x for that. And Marriott properties, there is a 4x. So last time, I think when there was the 5x offer on top of it.
Oh, that was a very sweet
I was
one,
basically getting like a 20x return on Marriott because of this.
Yeah, and they had a multiplier on Intermiles as well. We could buy vouchers using that card and get 5x returns.
Yeah.
Adil, I'm thinking this, right? I mean, let me know if you are resonating with this. We keep often talking about luxurious lives and, high-end credit cards. I'm thinking a 3,000 rupee card. I'm just thinking, again, making this up right now, right? Let's say I get this as my second card, right? I spend 3,000 rupees for the card with tax. The moment I get that, one free
3,500.
500, yeah, correct. And I get the card, I get one free night. I spent, let's say, dining bills hai mere thode se, like you spending a little bit on dining and grocery and regular stuff, right? With multipliers, let's say you're able to collect some 10, 12,000 points. It's not very big, right? 10,000, 12 points. You can easily, aram se with a 6 lakh accumulated spend, like get a loved one's birthday spend at a JW Prestige, for example. You don't even need to go out of Bangalore.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Like, and if you are able to kind of get that first experience going, you know exactly how this game works. Like I don't think हमारे time पे ऐसा option ही था, honestly.
Dekho, I think there are 3 options here now which are very interesting. If you are in Bangalore or in our part of the world, one is like you rightly said, JW Marriott Prestige Golfshire. It's a beautiful 18-hole golf property with 3 swimming pools, 4 restaurants, each of them outstanding.
Correct.
First part, JW Marriott will always give breakfast free, even on points bookings. Most Marriott hotels never do this. Okay, that itself is like a win. Secondly, buffet breakfasts are boring. JW Marriott Golfshire buffet breakfast is outstanding. They serve sushi for breakfast. It is unbelievable. It's the biggest breakfast buffet I've seen and probably the best venussery and croissants that you have in all of Bangalore. So that's number 1. You can get for only 23,000 points. So if you collect 2 free nights, so that will contribute to 30k. You need about 16k extra. वो आपके spend से आ जाएंगे.
Correct.
So for 2 nights, it is a great staycation in Bangalore, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Secondly, if you are the kind of person who wants to save money and not spend money for lunch and dinner in JW Marriott, there are lots of lovely restaurants around Nandi Hills. Resort ke bahar niklo. Lots of lovely places. Go eat around. You can go for treks outside. It's great. Second property in South India, there is a Marriott that is opened up in Coorg. Again, if you look at specific dates in the year, you can get this for 18,000. 18,000 points ke liye, again, this is a fantastic property. More often than not, most people who I know who have some sort of status, which is silver and above, which you get complimentary, by the way, with this card, silver status, you will get 1 level upgrade, which is great here. They have a fantastic kids play area. Third property, which is Sheraton Mahabalipuram. Again, this is a property where most people get upgraded. 2, it gives guaranteed breakfast free for everyone. 3, it's a beach property. It's a lovely property and there are lots of restaurants close by where you can go and dine outside. This is also available for close to 18,000 points a night. So 36,000 points is what you need for 2 nights. With 6 lakh rupee spends, you'll get 2 nights free. You need to solve for 6,000 points, which you'll easily get with your spends. So I think this particular card, fantastic card.
And one more important topic is even if you don't spend on the card, even if you just pay the annual fee, you're guaranteed one night. So
There's a better hack. No, you just take 2 cards.
Yeah.
You take one on
One
your
for-
name, one on your spouse's name. You spend 7,000 rupees. You're getting 2 free nights.
Right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Book the first night on your name. Book the second night on her name. Both are silver members. You got 2 nights. What have you spent? You've spent 7,000. You're getting a vacation easily worth 45,000 rupees.
Plus 12 lounge access.
12 lounge access,
With
yeah.
international lounge access.
Yeah.
So that's a great card for beginners. So as Aadil said, 2 people get 2 cards. Max out on those 2 nights with upgrades, with 10 nights credit, with silver status. So that's a great card to start off.
Dhimant, based on your recommendations, your recommended cards, what would you recommend as a redemption for someone who's getting started on new cards with a 1-year time horizon?
So, Aadil, see, first of all, I'm going to recommend cards. Like, I genuinely have a very strong point of view on, let's say, a program. And I love the HDFC program, right? So, I'm going to talk about HDFC cards to start off with. I feel the combo of Regalia and Regalia Gold are deadly. Very underrated. Very, very underrated, right? So, in every sense, I'll tell you how I mean, right? So, what they've done is they've structured the program in such a way that whatever applies to Infinia, in a smaller way, it also applies to Regalia Gold. ठीक है, आपको कम रेशियो मिल रहा है, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि आप ये यूज ही नहीं कर सकते, राइट? सो लेट मी गिव यू एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ पर्सन हु इज स्पेंडिंग 5 lakhs a year. ठीक है, आप 5 लाख स्पेंड कर सकते हो अगर कार्ड्स पे, राइट? Accumulate, get only 1 card. आपने पूछा ना कितने कार्ड? It's on the Visa network. So which means that card will work everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't get any other card. Get 1 card. Spend 5 lakhs on it. There is a base reward rate of 4 points on every 150 that you spend, right? The value of 1 point for Regalia Gold is around 0.65, which is 65 paise roughly. There are many things in the catalog you can buy at 65 paise. Apart from that, you also have Accor as a partner at 0.5.
Okay.
Right? 5 lakh pe there is also some milestone benefit that you get, right? So if you put all this together, right, you're talking about a easy Goa vacation in 1 year. I would say take your family to Goa, right? Or if you're in Bangalore, look at Ooty, for example, or a luxurious vacation, your first luxury vacation, right? On Regalia Gold. If you fall short of the redemption value, अगर आपको नहीं लगता enough,
एग्जाम्पल दे दो, कितने बनेंगे
यार, if I am not mistaken, the earn ratio versus a Infinia would be roughly 60%, right? So अगर आप 3.3% कमा रहे हो, you can easily say 1.5, 1.8 के आसपास आपको वैल्यू मिल जाएगी. So if you're talking about a 5 lakh spend, आप कैलकुलेट कर लो how much is that, right? How much is 5 lakhs पे roughly 2% पकड़ लो, 10,000 rupees worth, right? So 10,000 rupees worth of points you on anyways have, right? So आप आराम से, like, you can book a night in Goa and whatever remains you can easily pay via the 5x program of SmartBuy, which means you're also earning on that, right? So my recommendation would be that 1 year spends, and if in these spends, if you're able to also get vouchers from the 5x point, you can actually even double this earning, right? So I can easily see a Goa vacation happening, right? Matlab, that's at least in my sense. If you cannot do the whole vacation, let's say, simplest thing to do would be to use that points on the SmartBuy portal to book that Goa flight.
Yeah.
If you know the Goa flight on an Indigo, if booked decently in advance, you can easily get in 4,000 rupees.
Yeah.
आप आराम से 2 की फैमिली आराम से गोवा जा सकते हो. इनफैक्ट इफ यू आस्क मी, माई फर्स्ट रिडम्पशंस वर ऑल स्मार्ट बाय रिडम्पशंस. जो भी फ्लाइट पे डिस्काउंट मिलता था, आई वुड टेक दैट हैप्पीली.
And your wife has told me this story that you've taken her 7 times to Goa.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
But I think it's got really bad now. But again, I still feel that from a starter lens, a Goa vacation is generally very aspirational for everybody. Take your parents if they've not been. Take your family, right? If you're married and have a kid, first kid. That would be my recommendation. One underrated also redemption that I have in mind probably for a newbie is probably a budget hotel in, let's say, Rajasthan.
Yeah.
Like I've done that.
Yeah.
I loved going to Rajasthan and Udaipur and in winters. So if you can just book the flight with your points, you've slashed your budget of your entire trip by 30-35%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do that. And then book your hotels via the 5x program or the 10x program that is there on the SmartBuy. And again, you're earning, and next year की flights भी पक्की हो गई तुम्हारी.
The insight that I'm getting is from you, you're saying Get your first win quickly.
Absolutely.
Get one night at a hotel, one free flight, whatever you can get. Get that first win. Once you get that first win, you will figure out how to make the second win happen because you're already eyeing the second one.
Exactly. And in fact, one thing I would add, Aadil, is I would actually not recommend anybody to say कि मेरे को Regalia Gold मेरे पास है. How quickly can I get Infinia? I want to stay away from that game. I would say wait patiently. 2 साल भी हुआ तो it's okay. Don't try to hurry into a card by applying for a FD in the bank and then some random promise by some random RM कि आप ये कर लो तो ये मिल जाएगा, and then you cry all over because that doesn't happen. I would say don't do that. Like because that also leads to a lot of overspending, getting into traps which are not necessary at that point of in your career, right? Your primary income is the key. See, you got a first credit card because of a salary. Once your salary grows, आपको credit card भी better. Like banks will come behind you to give you the card that you want. Let's be clear about this. It never works the other way around.
Yeah, first principles.
Always let the bank come to you. They will come to you and you will get the like. जैसे मैंने बोला आपका पहले job पे वो the bank was ready to give you a card. The moment you become a senior manager, the same bank will stand there with a outlet in your bank to say, okay, we can now give you a privilege card or a select card. ये होने वाला है, right? So be ready for that in my view.
Yeah, and also one more thing about credit limit. So I'd like to stress upon credit. So if you have a good credit limit, you can approach banks to take card on card basis, even if they're not ready to give, if you don't have a
Interesting.
salary
Can you
account.
just double click on this? Like talk a little bit about card on card.
So basically what happened is, this was again few years back. So I have a very good credit limit in HDFC credit card. So the Axis Bank rep called me for the Magnus card. So he asked me to get into a relationship with the bank, or at least show me a credit limit of the previous bank card, whatever you hold. So I showed him my Infinia credit card statement and he was like, okay, let's do card on card basis. So that's one more way of getting a good card if you have a relationship already with a bigger bank. So that's one major advantage is what.
Yeah, it's a brilliant point, and I'll tell you why it's a brilliant point. Take an example of my father who is retired, right? He doesn't have any income now, right? But the only reason why banks are ready to give him cards today is because he's held that HDFC Regalia for so long. His limit is now 12 lakh, 14 lakh on that card. So one of the other reasons why I also suggested the same thing, ki stay with your card for 1-2 years, build your credit limit first, and there are automatic policies in the bank where you get flagged saying, okay, iska 8 lakh aa gaya limit, isko Diners Black de do. It will happen automatically, right? And another reason why I feel that don't worry about like kaun sa card milega, kaun sa nahi. I think it will automatically trigger those checks and balances. They also want you to spend money, no? So,
and it's all competition between the banks. So say if HDFC is giving you 10 lakhs limit, why not Axis give? Like if Amex is having 15 lakhs limit.
SBI would hear this.
Yeah.
You apply for an SBI card.
Ego
If you think you don't have an ego, you'll develop one. Well, all right, with that, Ameya, let's come to you. What would be your recommendation?
Sure. So I talked earlier philosophically about get a co-branded card.
Yeah.
Let's give super practical advice. Translate this into that. So the IndusInd Avios card, you spend 10,000 plus taxes to get the card. You get 20,000 Avios. Now 20,000 Avios, that means that you can get a round trip to Sri Lanka, for example. That's sorted. Or say you spend a couple of lakhs. With a 3 to 4% reward rate. There's depending on the milestones, it changes. But you get an additional 6,000-7,000 points. That gets you like a round trip to Hong Kong or like Malaysia or even to Qatar. So any of the One World Alliance destinations. So it's a very nice cozy entry into the whole miles game. You are getting into the One World side of things. And there are practical redemptions that you can get with it. Like with a couple of lakhs of spend inside, you get a round trip ticket to Hong Kong that we've talked about earlier. So again, I think when we did the Hong Kong episode, this card was slightly different. There were larger fees and a few changes. With the recent changes, the annual fee is cut. So even more reason to get the card. Spend 10,000 rupees, you get 20,000 AVOs. And AVOs you can very easily extract like 1 rupee or more value pretty easily. So I think it's a great deal. You're spending 10,000, you're getting value of 20,000. You spend a little more, your flight to some destinations is sorted. So if you want to enter the miles game and you're willing to travel internationally or aspire to do so, I think it can be a great starting card to pick up.
I think this is a cool summary, right? I mean, if you think about it, what Eshwar talked about is if you want to do like a Bangalore vacation itself or somewhere close to Bangalore, then what you can do is you can start off with the Marriott card, right? And when Dhimant spoke about is, he said, okay, if I want to travel domestically in India, then you can start off with the Regalia. While Ameya is saying ki, kyun? Let's do something international, right? Why not do something like a Hong Kong or a Malaysia or a Sri Lanka for that matter? And the Avios card can get you that. So there are, you see, this is the beauty when you start talking about, right? There are three different perspectives, all achievable, all possible, all with three different cards. So I think this is like a cool summary. So if we were to recap, cards we recommend as starter cards, the first one we're recommending is the HDFC Marriott Bonvoy Diners Credit Card. The second one we're recommending is your Qatar Avios IndusInd card, which gives you 20,000 Avios on a sign-up fee of 10,000 rupees plus tax. And Dhimant, you're saying get the Regalia Gold, and that could be your starter play in the HDFC ecosystem, because HDFC is all about tires and levels and loyalty, and you can punch your way through it really
Exactly.
So it's a very strategic element as well.
I also feel, by the way, that the reason why I recommended the Regalia family or the HDFC family is because one, it's a structured program. Secondly, the program lets you expand your horizons based on your annual spend, right? So for example, let's say somebody, the Regalia Gold, is getting married next year. Now suddenly he has to spend a lot, right? And if you end up getting double the amount of points that you had initially planned for, one, so it will take you towards Infinia or a Diners Black. Secondly, it will also unlock an international vacation. So my first Emirates Dubai booking, I did on SmartBuy. I did not transfer miles. So whoever thinks that I'm born with a million miles, I wasn't, right? Like me and my wife, I booked on, us time pe I think the 70% limit was not there. You could use all of your points of SmartBuy. I had some lakh points collected, right? Or 75,000 if I'm not mistaken. And if you book really in advance, Emirates was cheap at that point of time, right? So I was able to grab 2 tickets one way with the SmartBuy stash. Why does it have to stop at Udaipur or Goa? It has no conversion ratio. I don't have to look at flights. So for me also, it's about the ability to convert straight away points into rupees, money.
Yeah.
Right. So
this is following your same philosophy. Keep it simple. Don't complicate things.
Yeah, and one more thing about HDFC structured program is devaluations are not harsh. Like one thing I realized from...
No, they are. I felt it. I felt it. Because if you remember, Diners when it started, it was 33%.
Correct, 25,000 points per
month.
month.
And there was no cap.
Yeah. Okay.
Earlier there was no cap. Then came the cap of 25,000 per month. Now there's
for
15.
a few months we've had 45%.
But for a while now, luckily there hasn't been any.
So Aadil, I think his reference point is Axis. That's why he's saying they are not harsh.
Correct, because from last 3-4 years...
But look, see, for that you have to give it to Axis also, because the opportunities they gave also was crazy, right?
Huge.
It rained and it poured from the sky. Matlab, all of us like...
No, but see, I don't know why I'm defending HDFC so much, but Accor पे भी जब उन्होंने 0.5 ratio किया, we had time to move it at 1:1 for the longest of periods, right? आपके पास अगर points accumulated है, it's not like one fine day suddenly you lost everything, right? Like Jet Airways or Kingfisher जब बंद हो गया, I lost my points. It didn't happen here.
And there was a bonus as well last year for Accor transfers.
I mean, so from
HDFC, so that
I
was
kind of agree. I mean, they are more logical devaluations. They just don't go blind over it. For example, I remember, it's a very good suggestion that you made. When they devalued that 70% usage from 100% usage, they kept a period till which you could do it at 100% as well. So there was a period where you could probably do that as well.
They say, no, there are only 3 things certain in life: death, taxes, and devaluations. So let's keep an eye out.
But Aadil, like, baat batao, like we keep hearing a lot about devaluation, but I was just thinking over it in my head some time back, right? Think about the points programs, right? The reason why devaluations are real because inflation is real. आपकी revenue price हर साल बढ़ रही है. अगर revenue हर साल बढ़ रही है, how can your program be at the same miles construct?
हाँ, तो मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, we'll evolve ना.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to evolve. So let's just be realistic. जो आएगा उसको खर्च भी करो, उसको use भी करो, and then you can't crib saying that the price of that car increased. I was going to buy. You didn't buy. That was your problem, right? So plan for it. And so long as you plan, I would always say that if the cost of X, which is let's say a redemption you're eyeing, is let's say 10,000 points, always aim for 15,000 points. never aim for 10,000. Because you never know what will change and when it will increase.
Agreed.
So long as you shoot for the stars, you land on the treetop. Simple. As simple as that. So let's close with one piece of advice from each one of you. For people who are starting out on their cards journey and who want to get into this world of points and miles and make sense of all of it. So Dhimant, start with you. Let's not keep it too long. Quick 15-20 seconds advice.
My only two advices. One, keep it very simple. Use one Visa or MasterCard to start off with. Don't get too complex. Second, just make sure that in the beginning, you are not worried about the ratios and conversion ratios and everything. Don't try to get the journey started. Eventually and evolve. That's what my recommendation would be.
All right, Ameya.
Patience. I think you need to have patience and build towards that first redemption and then figure out. I mean, there's a whole wild world out there. Don't overcomplicate.
Have a simple goal, gun towards that goal, make it happen.
Let it take 1 year, but make it happen.
Make it happen. All right, Eshwar.
First thing is plan for realistic redemptions. That is what I would like to inform people. Like if you're staying in Bangalore, if you're staying in Mumbai, aim for local redemptions first rather than extravagant vacations. So get into that first. Try your test your waters and then aim for bigger redemptions. And second is please pay on time. Like if you don't pay on time, your interest will never take care of you. So that is one thing I always advise the starters, because there's one thing which bank doesn't stress upon it is due date. Like people will just think it's 3%. People might think it's just 1.5, 2%.
It's 3% a month.
Exactly. It's per month. So please pay on time. You can enjoy your redemptions better.
I think that's fantastic advice. So Eshwar, how did it feel to be on the Great Indian Points and Miles show? First of all, thanks for coming. It was lovely getting to know you, and even before we started recording and listening to your conversations now. But any thoughts on the podcast, how your experience has been so far?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are doing a great job. The Great Indian Miles show is amazing. I like how creative everyone's been involved into. The threads, the videos, the long format videos, which I felt was lacking in India, is being catered to very well. And Dhimant personally helped me a lot during my recent Hong Kong trip. And I mean, it's amazing, like what you guys are doing. Please keep it up. And I would recommend all the viewers to please switch on the bell icon. Please watch your videos.
See, I didn't have to say it this time.
Because that's what
You have to prep him.
because that's what I've done on my YouTube. Like I'll be eager to watch those episodes. So
Which is a favorite episode? Like give us
Singapore
one.
Airlines.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's something which we can't get access to easily on Twitter or like, because that's a different airline out of India. So that's an amazing way how you explained like what all they serve in business class. The separate menu which is being catered to, the hot towels which they give like in economy class. It's amazing. Like, so if one has to get to know about credit cards, whether it's basic, intermediate or advanced, please tune into the show and don't forget to follow everyone on Twitter.
Awesome. All right, so with that, let's wrap this up. Dhimant, Ameya, and Eshwar, big thanks for making time for the Great Indian Points and Miles show. Subscribe, because Eshwar told you now to do so. help us grow the channel. Please let us know what you'd like to hear from us next, and we're more than happy to bring that your way. With that, keep flying, keep redeeming, make the most of it.
Flashing bright, we're on the go. Tune in now, there's so much to know. Earning bits, travel dreams we sow. All aboard the Great Indian Points and Miles show. Zero to hero in the blink of an eye. Fly first class, no need to be shy. Redemption sweet, touching the sky. Award seats booked, let's give it a try. Award seats booked, let the points flow. It's all aboard the Great Indian Points and Miles show. Unlocking journeys wherever you go. The sky's the limit, feel the travel mojo. hidden treasures in every flight. Nights in places that feel so right. From deserts to the city lights, get set, steal those dazzling sights. Miles stack up each passing day. Rewards come back in a million ways. In this game you want to play, the great Indian adventure, yay! Award seats booked, let the points flow. It's all aboard the great Indian Points and Miles show. Unlocking journeys wherever you go. The sky's the limit, feel the travel mojo.